Well, thank you for joining us, and I'm very pleased to introduce Bob Estes, who is the CEO of Reveille Software, based in Atlanta. Bob, thanks so much for joining us.
Greetings, Bill. It's nice to be with you.
Well, thank you. And can you give us a little bit of background about Reveille, what you do, and who you serve?
Absolutely. We are an Atlanta-based company. We're in the high-tech community. Many of us who are a part of this company have been in the high-tech industry for many years. We've built companies, we've sold them. We're kind of geeks at heart, and we're in a very, very interesting part of the marketplace right now that's going through a lot of change. So to begin with, just to introduce Reveille, I like to say that we're often the company and technology behind the curtain. So we're not necessarily front-facing in terms of what people are up to, but we keep big systems going, and they're very important systems. So a little bit about that. Reveille, which is the name of our product and solution family, pairs with enterprise content information and management applications. These would be platforms such as Documentum, FileNet, SharePoint, Highland, and some of the newer ones that people are beginning to go to, such as Box, Microsoft OneDrive, G Suite's G Drive, etc. So wherever there is a need to manage and secure the access of documents or more broadly content, those are the types of systems that we help manage. In fact, we enhance them with a very, very intuitive management solution. Now, the types of things we do would be to track performance of those applications, the user interactions with them. We dig deep into document workflows, and we resolve issues. And we do this automatically, interactively, etc. So we try to get ahead of issues before users are actually impacted by that. In fact, our new moniker for Reveille is Active Insight, and that's what we're all about. In terms of the types of customers, Bill, we've targeted, in some cases, the top of the pyramid in various industries, highly regulated industries, where service levels are mandated. And this includes 4 content management systems, so the big document systems that may be a part of mortgages or anything that is mission critical to the company or the organization is something that we hover around. In fact, 7 of the top 10 U.S. financial institutions are customers. We hope to continue to grow that. Many of these financial institutions that are customers are also in Europe, Middle East, and Asia. We have 3 of the top 5 pharmaceutical companies worldwide that are customers, as well as many state and local governments, energy companies, etc. So really, just to put a coda on that piece, documents, content, that's the digital currency of our age. And that has to be managed not as an afterthought, but as an integral part of what organizations are doing.
Sure. So you're meeting a compliance and regulatory need, and I hope I'm safe to assume that sometimes enterprise content management systems are not the most user-friendly of systems. So is that a place where you're helping also?
Well, we are. In fact, if you look, it's really been many years as these types of applications emerged. And they really started out, just like SharePoint years ago, as maybe a work group solution where people stored documents. It was a little bit beyond just the file system. And as our digital age evolved, you had these documents, and the access to them became much more important. They became integral parts of corporate workflows, and that means they had to be secured. So a lot of workflows have been built around that. So we noticed years ago the opportunity in the way that these systems came together. They were not that well instrumented for enterprise level activities, and that's where we have filled a gap over time. Now, in terms of some of the challenges that we've seen in our own business, it's really, and this is how we got introduced TechCXO, it's a classic case of supporting a maturing technology stack within this very large segment of enterprise content management. So we were looking at relatively slow growth of some of these platforms that are in place with some of these big banks and financial institutions. We've been looking around and looking at where investments are going, and this leads us into the opportunities that we can build on the success we've had in the past.
Sure. Well, you've had success. You've got 400 plus clients. It's an impressive list of well-known enterprises. You clearly have some traction with certain verticals. What were the challenges you were facing? Were they from a sales standpoint? And it's a leading question getting to how TechCXO began to assist you.
Well, I would say let's back up. Let's say the challenges in the classic case of a maturing technology, but it's within a segment or set of segments that are getting ready for growth and investment in new areas. So if you think of managing content, documents, brand images, media, et cetera, you really are seeing rapid change in growth and rethinking the content access points, distribution, and security models. So we're retuning our efforts, and this is where CXO comes into it, for part of it, in order to really break out into higher growth areas than we've seen perhaps in recent years. So that's building on deep domain expertise in content management systems and performance, as you would express it, in optimum service levels. And where we're going with this is expanding performance to include user behavior around interactions with secured content, such as corporate documents. So we engage CXO, number one, to bring in an outsider with a fresh set of eyes and ears. And you can't necessarily just jump in and get, a perfect reflection of the new within a sales organization. There are lots of challenges. There's a lot of harmonizing new messages and the way we go to market and new distribution models. And by engaging with CXO, our mission was to really force the management team to focus on more strategic issues. And as you may know, Bill, for small companies, it's really hard to find the time to chase anything beyond existing opportunities. And so what we did is we looked at what are some of the results we want to see up front. And I see this as an ongoing engagement to some degree because we're still in the early phases. But putting together refinements and developing a stronger buyer persona, which is, as I've learned more and more with this engagement, maybe one of the most important things we can do, especially as we're transforming our own business model. But also to create a team profile to help in the hiring process for the types of people we want to attract and bring into the organization as we move into different areas. We've also been able to spend a fair amount of time testing new positioning and messaging, pricing, and one of the top things we are trying to accomplish is moving from a perpetual license model with on-premises implementations into a cloud-based and subscription-based model. So as you can imagine, there are a lot of things that you have to do to get ready for that. And that's what we have focused on.
Sure. Well, how far along are you in some of those changes, and what have the results been like so far?
Well, we have streamlined how we communicate accounts and deals. We've automated a lot of our processes, which we really couldn't have done, certainly in the time that we were able to spend on this. Everything that we are doing operationally is in the cloud. So we're relying on a lot of tools such as Salesforce.com and Pardot. We're automating the way that we reach out to marketing. We've moved our customer profiles into an area that's more operational, which means that our reps can see account history much better, what they've bought, and it empowers us to go into our customer base and see what we're up to with a new release that's coming out this summer, among other things. So it's really beginning to transform how we work as a team, how we communicate, and how we, even more importantly, partner up with our customers, our prospects, and the communities around those customers.
Terrific. Well, it's an exciting development, and it looks like you're going to start reaping the very explicit benefits from all these initiatives. So now comes the self-serving question. What appealed to you about TechCXO's model, and what advice would you give a company facing what you faced?
Well, let's start with how I was introduced to CXO. So as in all good things, you often find good people by knowing good people who recommend good people. And that's what happened in our case. And what was very attractive on the first meeting of just introduction was the experience brought to the table. So this is not just grabbing somebody who just got out of school, but, seasoned veterans who understand not only what our high-tech community and markets look like, but also have seen change in their own careers. So in other words, companies become static if they don't change, if they're not looking for new opportunities. So looking for seasoning in that approach was very important to us. And it really gets back to my advice that I would give to anyone, including our own company, as we do these types of things again and again, which is, I'd say there are 4 key things in terms of advice. Number one, get buy-in from the management team before the engagement even begins. I think that's very, very important. Number 2, establish the objectives in the form of outcomes and deliverables, and what the expectations are as you work with the CXO professional. Number 3, lay out what's expected of the team in terms of developing the outcomes. We can't just sit down and talk with a consultant. You actually have to think and do and contribute to that, and really set the priorities and expectations from the beginning. And finally, I hope your listeners will understand what I'm trying to communicate here is make sure that you as a company understand the quote unquote sacred cows of the company to really empower the changes needed for success. So that's what it's all about for us, and it's been a very good engagement, and we're happy to move forward with this.
That is great and specific advice. Bob Estes, CEO of Reveille Software, thank you so much for spending this time with us.
Thank you. Have a great day.